Hey guys, always Dizzy here again with my round two recap from the 2022 Richmond Open that I went to last weekend. One of the commenters on the first video, the first round video, by the way, which camera am I looking at? Is this? It's this one, right? Okay, I've got two webcams. He requested that I give a little bit of insight as to the environment of the tournament. So this tournament was on the mainland, which meant that I had to take a 2-hour ferry ride and then drive a little bit to the tournament. I carpooled with a friend because I don't really like driving on the mainland very much. I don't like driving, period, very much. So, and I mentioned in the first round video how I helped set up a little bit, and I actually sold the parking tickets for the players at the hotel, and then I had round one. So with Omicron being a thing right now, the tournament had to take even more precautions than the previous one. So they had to adhere to a lot of COVID protocols in order to even be able to run the tournament. The tournament was actually very close to being canceled. There was before you could enter the tournament playing area, you had to scan your vaccine passport. I'm not sure about in the US or other parts of the world, but in BC here we have a vaccine passport, which it's like a QR code that you just scan and it'll tell you if the person is vaccinated or not. So once you are vaccinated, they give you this really fancy rubber band that you put on your wrist to show that you've been screened and that you can enter the playing hall that you're supposed to wear at all times, or they won't let you in. Now the nice thing is that the tables were spread apart. If I wasn't recording, if I was recording this video in some other software, I would pause the video and I would put in the. I have a photo of how the boards are spaced apart, but you can just imagine that there's more room than usual. In normal tournaments, you're kind of elbow to elbow. You're about this far away from the next board. But here, there was quite a lot of space, and it was very luxurious. I never had that much space before. It was probably like close to 1.5 meters or 2 meters between the next board, which is lovely. I had plenty of space for my water, my cell phone, whatever. You had a lot of space, and I loved that. They also put us in the ballroom for the first time because the hotel kind of upgraded the playing room so that because we have with COVID, you only allowed 50% occupancy. So in order to allow for all of the players to enter, by the way, there were 150 players. But in order to allow for that, they had to give us more space, so they gave us the ballroom. Now, there were actually over 180 players, I think 182 that were registered. But at a couple of days before the event, the organizer prohibited all children aged 12 and under to play unless they have double vaccinations. And surprisingly, most of them didn't. So about 30 of them or so, 30 or 35 were kicked out. And so we ended up with about 150 registered players. Of course, so masks were mandatory. And another thing was you weren't able to get up from your board the whole game. So unless you had to go to the bathroom, and even then you have to go straight out and straight back in and sit down. So you're not allowed to go up and stretch your legs. You can't even you couldn't even stand behind your board. And that was, I agree with that rule, but it was hard because one of the nice things about over-the-board tournaments is to go watch other games, especially if you know other players. It's fun to watch other games. So none of that was allowed in this tournament. Before I get going reviewing this game, I want to give you some background, what happened beforehand. So I ended up getting only 3 hours sleep, like just under 3 hours, like 2 hours and 50 minutes or so. And I think that affected how I played. At least I would hope so. But yeah, I got basically hardly any sleep, and there were a couple of reasons why. First of all, at around 10:30, like I wasn't asleep at 10:30, but I was starting to wind down, right? I was starting to, wind down for the night. And then all of a sudden I heard this really strange sound. And it was strange. It was like, I can't reenact it, but it was like it was just like a error signal or something, and it was coming through the hotel speakers in my room, and I didn't know what it was, but it just kept going nonstop, and then I'm like, well, like what is that? Is this like some type of alarm or notification? But it just kept going. I'm like, is this like a fire alarm? But it wasn't a normal fire alarm. It was like a weird sound, and I decided, okay, I guess it's a fire alarm. And I forget if I heard the fire trucks first or not. I don't think I did. I think I just went out of the hotel room, and so I gathered, as much stuff as I could. So I got my wallet, my cell phone. That was pretty much it. Oh yeah, and then I and like my coat, because I don't know how long I would be gone for, and I left, and. Yeah, so I went down to the lobby, which was kind of weird because I couldn't find the stairs. Like I tried the elevator first, and then the elevator wasn't working because it's a fire alarm, right? And then I couldn't find the stairs. The hotel actually has a really weird layout, and I couldn't find the stairs. Well, I did find the stairs, but it was like weird stairs, and it went out into the parkade. It turns out I didn't take the right stairs, but it went out into the parkade, and then I had to go like through the car lot. Which was like a weird thing. And then I went back into the hotel from the front, and there were people in their pajamas out in the lobby. And it was kind of, in hindsight, it's a little bit nerve-wracking because I later found out that the hotel, and I'm sorry for talking so long before the game, but I thought this is pertinent to what happens in the game. I found out later that I believe some of the guests in the hotel were actually quarantining. And that makes me a bit nervous because, like, okay, well, now all of these quarantined people are all out in the lobby together. Like, oh my God, that's insane. And I'm actually wondering now, because there actually ended up being 2 fire alarms that were pulled during the tournament. Was this done by people that were sick of quarantining and just wanted a bit of fresh air? You know what I mean? So, anyways, that was kind of weird. And so we were out in the lobby for about, it's really hard to say, right? Maybe around half an hour, possibly 45 minutes. And while I was down there, I actually had another person recognize me and said like you do YouTube videos, right? Like, and it was somebody. It was his first time at the tournament. I ended up having about 5 or 6 people come up to me and call me always dizzy. So some of those people might be watching this video. I was surprised. I mean, I have 500 subscribers on YouTube. Like, I'm not a popular YouTuber or Twitch streamer, and I'm surprised how many people recognized me and like said that they've seen some of my videos. Like, it's very surprising. I was very shocked. But yeah, so I was talking to this guy for a while to kill some time, and that was long. Long story short. It was just a false alarm.
Yeah.
That was long. Long story short, it was just a false alarm, and let me take a sip of water. And we were allowed to go back to our hotel rooms, but that kind of got the heart pumping a little bit, and then you have to try to wind down again for the night, which I did. But then a couple hours later, around 12:30 or so, the people next door were kind of noisy. They weren't holding a party, but they were, I don't know, I think they were like early 20s or something, and they were being kind of stupid and noisy. And I wanted to get a good night's sleep. I never get a good night's sleep at these tournaments. And they were being loud. Now, I didn't go knock on their door because, I don't know. They'd have to really do a lot for me to do that. But I was trying to go to sleep. And then like around 12:30, I think it was, I get a knock on my door. And I looked through the keyhole, and it was some like young woman. And I opened the door, and she doesn't say a single word, but she just smiles. And then I said something like, I think you have the wrong door or something. Because I wasn't sure who it was. I wasn't sure if like the hotel was wanting to tell me that I forgot something during the fire alarm, or I didn't know what it was. But so I'm pretty sure she was going to that little party next door. It was kind of weird, but yeah, that kind of disrupted my sleep as well. One more thing I forgot to mention: when I had gone out to the fire, to the lobby from the fire alarm, I did forget something. My hotel key, my little key card. Man, I can't believe I forgot it. Now, it wasn't a big deal because I did bring my wallet, so I went up to the receptionist. They were able to give me a new key, no problem. Now, if I hadn't brought my wallet with me, I don't know what the procedure is, because how can they confirm that I'm part of that room? That would be a bit more difficult. I'm guessing that they would ask you some questions, and then they would like go up to the door by themselves and like knock and so forth. But yeah, anyways, that disrupted my sleep, and I had a bit less than 3 hours sleep. Sorry for this long video, and let's get started. So, man, this is going to be one long video. So I've got I've already analyzed the game. I've got my score sheet here, which I will reference because I have the timestamps on it. What I mean the clock time. So I was playing, let me put it up here before I forget. Andrew Shu, 1702 CFC rated. He's a younger guy. If I had to guess, maybe like 14, 15, 16 years old. He's kind of on the upswing rating wise. If I had to guess, I don't think he's super underrated, but he might be a little bit underrated, but he's progressing. So I did manage to prepare for him because I had the night before to prepare for him, I believe. Yeah. I think they put up the pairings around midnight or so. And I did prepare a little bit, but the line he plays, there's only so much I could have prepared for, really, because there's a lot of different ways to play it, and it's kind of a generic position. But I did a little bit of preparation. Okay, so, whoops, everything's good here. Okay, so E4 is what he played on black. Okay, so we've got the Sicilian here, and then Bishop B5. And I was prepared for this, and I just played my usual move, Knight D7, because Bishop T7 really gets extremely drawish. You have to really go really far out of your way to avoid drawish lines. And I'm playing for a win every game, unless my opponent is like severely higher rated than I am. So yeah, Knight D7. Actually, I don't really need to reference this too much. I've got all the moves in here already. Okay, so yeah, he played C4, which I was prepared for as well. I don't think it's the main line. Yeah, it's not, but it's a common line, and it's a decent line. It's a Maroczy-bind version of this Moscow variation, and yeah, I was expecting this. So Knight F6, Knight C3. And we were both kind of whipping out our moves here. Castles, Bishop G7, D4, C takes D4, Knight takes D4. I mean, this is all pretty standard stuff, right? Castles, And then this is the cool part. Now, if you're watching this video, you're going to learn something because this next move is very important for white. And it's not a natural move. So my opponent didn't really know this exact setup because he played an inaccuracy here. But the inaccuracy he played, it's very easy to miss the correct way to proceed here for white. White actually needs to move this bishop on the next move, or else he's a little bit worse. Because black is threatening, black is threatening knight b6 and a6, because the bishop will have to move, and then this pawn, the c4 pawn, it will be undefended. So white gets into a bit of a pickle if this bishop doesn't move. So the only moves here, and I'm just taking a sneak peek with the engine, are bishop a4 and bishop takes d7. Any other, like the next best move is minus 0.6. So black holds a bit of an advantage. Okay, I turned off the engine. I just noticed it stalling the video. Actually, I really, I hope I didn't screw up the whole video. Let me change my priority. I have Stockfish running in the background. I hope that, I'm going to change the priority on that on my computer. I hope that doesn't affect the quality of this video. Sometimes the audio gets out of sync when I do that. Put this on high here. Yeah, sometimes the audio becomes, I really hope that didn't affect the video. Anyways, yeah, so white actually has to move the bishop here, and it's a very easy thing to miss if you aren't familiar with its exact position. And he played bishop e3, and my research showed that he does play bishop e3, so I'm not surprised that he played it. And then I played knight b6. And this was all part of my prep. I was a happy camper, and my opponent thought here for a long time. He thought for 24 minutes on this move. I mean, that's a freaking long time. Like he went from an hour and 31 minutes to an hour and 7 minutes. So he thought for 24 minutes here. And amazingly, he found the best move, which I didn't even prepare for, because basically I got to this position and I'm like, okay, like I kind of stopped here, because if he doesn't take the knight, then I'm better. But I didn't really see, well, for one thing, I didn't think he'd find the best move. So you could, if you want, you could pause the video and try to figure out what the best move is for white. It's not simple, for me anyway. Okay, so the best move is actually, and what my opponent played, is c5. And to be fair, like, well, not to be fair, but to be honest, I didn't even think what my opponent was going to play. I kind of just zoned out. I was pretty tired from not having slept, so I kind of just was looking around and just resting, which is, I mean, I was tired, but yeah, so I didn't know what to do against c5. And yeah, so after 24 minutes, you found this. Okay, so I took knight b3, and this was the best way that white could have dealt with his position. And now it was my turn to think for a long time, and I spent about 16 minutes or something, 17 minutes on the next move, which, okay, so I ended up playing knight bd7, which was a bit of an inaccuracy. Now, the move I wanted to play was c4, right? Because knight bd7, I'm giving him the pawn back that we had just won. So I wanted to play c4, but what I didn't like, and I'll put it on board here, I didn't like c4, and I didn't like him exchanging queens and then taking on b6 and then taking on c4. Because here we have equal material, but then I've got these double pawns, and he has 3 active pieces. This bishop is awkward, but the computer actually likes this. This is what the computer wants me to play, and I didn't like it. If I recall, I think the computer here likes bishop d7, threatening. It becomes a bit tactical now. But apparently black can play b5 and white can't take, because then this pawn falls, and then also our bishop opens up on b2. And it's kind of a weird position, but I think the computer gave this about -1. But because, I mean, it looked to me, it looked not good. So I didn't want to play c4 because I didn't like that position. So that's why I played knight b7. Okay. So my opponent played knight takes c5, queen c7, knight takes. And here I thought for a bit, not super long, well, 11 minutes. Now, the normal move here would be to take the knight, right? Take it one way or the other. But I've been playing weird, well, not weird, I've been playing differently lately, in the sense that I'm pushing for more. I'm taking more risks in a way. I'm playing braver, which you might have witnessed from my first game where I played queen takes, what was it? B7, queen takes B7. And so I was trying to get more out of the position, and I ended up playing rook d8. Now, unfortunately, that's just a straight up obvious blunder, because white can just take my knight, and he's already taken my knight on d7. So he's just up a knight. But there's also other ways that white, there's a lot of different ways that white can just take advantage of this. There's bishop f4, kicking my queen out. And there's even e5. So I should have just taken the knight. I simply missed knight takes f6. I don't know. I'll blame it on the lack of sleep. My opponent played bishop b6, which isn't. It's actually a mistake. It's actually a blunder. But I was actually expecting this myself. After I played rook d8, I'm like, oh wait, he can just play bishop b6. So I'm not surprised that he played it, because that's actually what I was looking at myself. So I took, and then I did 5, and this is really strange. I blundered again. I think part of the reason, and I won't blame it on lack of sleep this time, but I think part of the reason this time, the reason that I blundered is because I was already kind of in a defeatist mindset. From when I had blundered rook d8. That was just such a terrible blunder. I think it had an effect on me. And I played queen d6. So the problem with queen d6 is that this knight can still just trade itself, and he's already taken this knight. When I could have just taken on d5 here. And now this knight can't escape by grabbing a piece. So I should have just taken his knight. So that was my second massive blunder this game. So I'm not playing very well. And he took on b6, and he took on f6, and the game quickly goes to a close. I played just a couple moves on, just out of inertia, as they say, and he took the rook, and then I resigned. So it's embarrassing showing these games, because the first game I blundered. And this game, I blundered twice. But that's what happened. I'm not going to pretend I won the game or anything. So unfortunate. At the same time, I didn't feel that bad, because my opponent was higher rated. And I made 2 blunders. Like, if I had made 1 blunder, I would have felt worse, ironically. Excuse me. Because, you know, if you make 1 blunder, it feels bad. But if you make 2 blunders, there's no excuse. You know, like, there's no excuse to making 2 blunders. So, yeah, so that was round 2. Round 3 will be my next video. Let me know what you think. And, yeah, hopefully I can give you better news for round 3. It's already happened, so I know what happened. But hopefully I can give you better news for round 3. But, okay. That's it. Thanks for watching.